Hey, what's going on YouTube? MPCG72. And before I talk about the product that's in front of you, I remember when AMD could not compete against Intel. If you remember the i7 2600K, which was legendary, and I'm sure people are still using it now. The 3770K, they just dominated the market. I remember I wanted to get on the X99 and even before that, the X58 platform from Intel, just to get on that level and get that level of performance. And when I finally did get on the X99 platform, my first 6-core 12-thread chip was the Intel Core i7 5820K, which, if I remember right, that's the Haswell architecture. And AMD had nothing to compete back then, even with their FX series of processors, which were not considered a success. But under Lisa Su's guidance at that company, they did some amazing things. And now AMD is actually competing, if not surpassing Intel, quite well with these brand new processors. So what I have in front of you today is what I've wanted since I first seen it or saw it being released. And that is the AMD Ryzen 9 3900X. This is the second most powerful CPU on the mainstream X570. Also supported an X370 if you got the right motherboard. Also supported by X470 if you have one of those or you have the right motherboard, all with BIOS updates. And that's the 3900X. Now you got the 3950X, which costs about $700, if not $800. But this processor right now on Amazon is $479 for 12 cores and 24 threads. And I paid almost $400 for my Intel Core i7 5820K, which had 6 cores and 12 threads. So I'm really excited about this. So I was an early adopter as well of the Ryzen series because my first Ryzen CPU was the Ryzen 7 1800X, which was their first gen, which I still have, still performs really well. But since then, I've bought several Ryzen 5 processors. I have the brand new Ryzen 5 1600AF model, which is built on the 12 nanometer process and not the 14 nanometer process. I also got the Ryzen 5 3600, which is the latest generation, or AMD Ryzen 3rd gen as well, and that performs quite well. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be installing this Ryzen 9 3900X in my actual X570 motherboard from Gigabyte, and that'll be the X570 Aorus Ultra. So I'm going to be installing it in that, and I will be taking my Ryzen 5 3600 and putting it in my Raw Crosshair 6 Extreme, which is on the X370 chipset. So that's what we're going to do today, and we're also going to unbox the Ryzen 9. So let's get right into it. Alright YouTube, let's get this awesome processor out of the box. Man, I am excited. I always get excited about tech. I'm going to just cut this little thing right here on the back. Awesome. Alright. So now all I can do is pull this up. That to the side, and there it is. Right, let me make sure I can get this in the shot. Apologize if the camera shakes, but there we go. The Ryzen 9 3900X in all of its glory. Oh yeah, really excited about that. Right, so let's take this out of the box. I am not going to be using the stock cooler. I'm going to be using an all-in-one from Corsair. Alright, hopefully that focuses. Maybe help it out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. That's a processor itself, and of course you get a sticker with it as well. Pull this out. And of course, it'll be the cooler that came with it. The instructions, of course. Alright, easy day. And a cooler, which I'm sure you've seen before, and I'm going to leave that actually in the box because I'm not going to be utilizing it. But this cooler does allow some overclocking. Well, you know what? Let's take it out. Easy day. I remember how it goes back in. It's pretty beefy cooler from my understanding. But I'll be careful, excuse me, don't mess with the thermal paste that's already on it. As you can see, pretty beefy cooler. So, yeah, let's put this back in the box. I may even use this cooler on the Ryzen 5 1600AF I got over there. But it's running pretty good temperatures with the Wraith Stealth cooler. Whatever comes with the Ryzen 5 1600X is the cooler I'm actually using. Or used to come with the Ryzen 5 1600X. Put that back in the box. Sit that back in there. Actually, this was under there. Alright, gonna put the processor back in there as well. Make sure it stays safe before I install it. And put that back on as well. So that was a quick and simple unboxing. I didn't really get into depth of anything because I'm sure you've seen unboxings of the Ryzen 9 3900X already. So let's get right into getting these things switched out because I actually want to do some gaming today. So let's get into that. Alright YouTube, before I get to installing this processor, let's talk about what's currently in there. It has a Ryzen 5 3600, which is overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz. I've got a Corsair H110i, which has a 280 millimeter rad, and that's an all-in-one cooler or CPU cooler, whatever you want to call it. I've got 5 140 millimeter Noctua fans in there, 2 on the rad and 2 for intake at the front of the case. The 140 millimeter exhaust in front of the case is a fan that came with the Fantex P600X. My power supply is an EVGA 1300 G2. My video card is an EVGA RTX 2060 Super, which you saw a video. If you watch my channel, you saw my video about the unboxing. It is actually B-stock. I got 2 Intel 730 SSDs, and they're regular SATA SSDs. I've got 4 NVMe SSDs in there. I got a Samsung 970 Pro, a 970 EVO, and a 960 EVO. And I've got an ADATA XPG SX 8200 Pro. And the motherboard is a Gigabyte Aorus X570 Ultra. Yeah, I know the Master's an awesome motherboard, but they wanted too much Master money for that. So I got a pretty good deal on the Ultra. So that's pretty much everything that's in the rig, with the exception of all the cables and everything else I'm using in there. And I'll actually give you an overview of my other editing rig as well. But let's jump into getting the 3900X installed. Alright YouTube, let's get the CPU cooler removed. Or the pump block, or pump / water block. Put these gloves on. And then we'll get right into it. It's an easy mounting system here. So I also got a fan controller from Corsair in here as well. I think it's the Commander or something they call it. I buy all this stuff after I do the research and I forget the name of it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be doing any overclocking today, or if I'm going to even let the AMD software Ryzen Master do the overclocking. I may do it with that and just be done with it, and then later on when I feel like it, get into the BIOS and maybe play around with some overclocks in there as well. I may do that. Now what I should have did was probably turn this PC on and let it heat up the thermal paste first. Make it easy to remove, but it shouldn't be too difficult. And I'm using Cryonaut for the thermal paste, and I started using that after watching Gamers Nexus reviews on that. Alright, that should be loose. I didn't mean to take it all the way off. I don't want to take that all the way off. But yeah, YouTube, what you want to do sometimes is, you know, just turn your computer on before you actually let it heat the thermal paste up. But in this case, I did not have to do it. Alright. Like I've mentioned before, I do prefer the mounting system from Intel over AMD. I think it's more secure. Alright, we're just going to sit this to the side. I probably should have disconnected it from the back, but easy day. And I'm going to just let it sit there ever so gently. Right? And then if it makes a mess with thermal paste, and I'll just clean it up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit this coffee filter under that just in case. And I learned using coffee filters to clean the CPUs because it doesn't leave any residue. And I actually learned that from Tech Syndicate. Alright. So I'm going to lean that to the side. I should have disconnected the fans, but maybe I can get away with it. Alright, so I'm going to hold that out the way, and hopefully you can see the CPU. So I'm going to lift up this retention lever, lift that up, pull it back, and now all I got to do is pull the CPU out. Easy day. So I'm going to get the 3900X out. Well, actually, I'm going to clean this one up, which I can clean it up in place with 99% isopropyl alcohol, or 100% if you can get it. I'm not sure. Right, so I'm going to lock that back down. But that's how you would take that out, and I'm going to clean up the CPU in place. But I'm not going to let you watch that, or allow you to watch that. So easy day. So when you come back, we will be installing the 3900X. Alright, YouTube, now let's get the 3900X installed. And I'm stoked. Alright. Make sure you always read the instructions before you install these if you've never done this before. So make sure you understand what you're doing. Watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Read the instructions. Do whatever it takes. I'm sorry for bumping the camera there. Do whatever it takes to make sure you're installing this right, because this stuff is not cheap. Alright. So I'm hoping that I can get this in the shot and my hands ain't in the way. Yeah, there we go. Well, let me double check. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so there's a little triangle on the side of these processors. Now, I don't know if you could see that. It's difficult to see. But make sure you always line that up first. Make sure you ground yourself. And now we're going to go ahead and get this thing installed. You don't want to force anything. You just want it to sit right in there. An easy day. And once it sits in there, just bring down the retention clamp or lever. And there you go. Easy day. But what I'm still going to do, I'm going to just clean it up, because I don't know if any oils or anything were on it prior to shipping or anything like that. So I'm going to clean it with some isopropyl alcohol. I'm also use my coffee filters, and then I'm going to apply the thermal paste. So easy day. So let's do that. Alright, YouTube, now I am going to apply the thermal paste. Now, Thermal Grizzly with this Cryonaut actually gives you a little spreader here to spread the thermal paste. But I think I'm going to just use the P method here today. Alright, I don't think it makes much difference. It might, we'll see. You follow the directions that it actually talks about. Me, I'm going to try this out, right? And see how this works for me. Alright. And that's all you need is a pea size. But, you know, these chiplets inside here are really stacked at 7 nanometers. So I'm gonna try this P method and see what my temperatures are like, and then we'll go from there. But you spread it out, right? Because I may be taking this back out if I don't get good temperatures, right? But let's move on. But the directions again say spread it out, but I'm doing my own thing today, so easy day. All right, YouTube, we got the thermal paste on there. I actually went on ahead and decided to spread it around, but the instructions do say you can use an X method, or you can use a P method as well. So easy day. So I went on ahead and decided to spread it around, and we're gonna get the block installed. I also cleaned the block as well. Just some isopropyl alcohol. All right, so now we got that in place. Make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Get that hooked on there. Get that hooked on there. Start screwing it down. Alright, get one side fairly tight. Now I know you can't actually see what's going on in here. Alright. And there we go. I just got to tighten them down. So I'm going to tighten them down at the same time. Make sure we got somewhat even pressure. You don't have to make these too tight. Alright, just finger tight. But if you need to use a screwdriver, it does have the Phillips head indentions that you can actually use. Alright. And that is the installation of the 3900X. Easy day. Now I'm going to be doing the same thing with the 3600 and my other rig. And feel free to skip that if you don't want to see that. But it's going to be included in this video anyway. So I'm going to actually get this put back where it's supposed to be, turn it on, and see what the initial temperatures are. So let's do that. All right, YouTube, what you're looking at right now is the load using hardware monitor on the 3900X here. And that's a package with the watts and everything. And you can see the idle temperatures right here running about, well, it went up to about 55 degrees there. And I keep my house at about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So not bad as far as temperature goes at stop. Now I haven't did any overclocking or anything like that. Now when I ran Cinebench, you can see at 3.8 gigahertz, the 3900X got a score of 7,009. Right? And this is Cinebench R20. And I didn't realize this was one of the most intensive programs you can run on a CPU. Right? I actually watched Jay's 2 Cents do a review on the Corsair A500, that cooler, and he actually mentioned that. I actually didn't know that. I just knew Cinebench was really stressful. Right? So that's the score. Right? And I apologize. I just got a text message from my daughter. If you heard that, and now my wife asked me, no ma'am, I'm gonna come in there and get it. Right? Gotta answer the wife, right? In there cooking dinner. But anyway, yeah, it's I said 3.8 gigahertz is what it read. Now here it's actually boosting up the full, what? It actually boosted up. What's the highest one here? 4.51, no, 4.566, or 4,566 megahertz. So not bad running at stock, right? That's an amazing score. Look what's just above it here is a 60 core, 120 thread, 2.8 gigahertz Intel Xeon, which is more than likely a server CPU. And it's only 4,000 or 5,000, ahead of this mainstream processor. That's insane, right? So that's Cinebench. But I'm going to run it again to see how hot everything gets. So let's do that so you can see that since it's an intense program. Now, I'm not going to be running this in continuous loops or anything like that. I'm just running it one time. Feel free to skip to the end of this part of the video. And when you got other programs actually open at the same time, it actually affects your Cinebench score. So I got that score when I didn't have anything else open. Look how fast that is going. And I tell you, I just love having this 3900X. No overclocking. Got it on a 280mm rad with the H110i, which I already mentioned. Insane. All right. Now you see that it's a little bit lower. It's at 6885, but I can guarantee that's what that score is because I got other programs open. Right? But let's see the temperatures. What did it get up to? That is not what I'm looking for. Let me scroll down a little bit. Got up to 72. Not bad at all. Now, of course, it would get harder if I was running this for an hour or two, all right, to really get everything saturated with heat, but not bad at stock. And I also got a little bit of gaming that I actually did. Then I'm going to show you how I was actually running with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That'll also be in the video as well. So, yeah, easy day. Good temperatures, good Cinebench scores, easy day. All right, YouTube, here's my other rig, which I currently have the Ryzen 7 1800X. The motherboard's the Asus Crosshair 6 Extreme. I've got an RX 480 in there, which I had boxed forever, and then I just decided, you know what, to go ahead and use it because I gave my son my RTX 2060. I took the 980 Ti and put it in my recording / streaming rig if I ever decide to stream, because this card won't work with the Elgato 4K60 Pro. It has to be one of the RX Vega cards of AMD, or one of the newer cards like the 57XT and those, or it has to be NVIDIA. But they actually said NVIDIA 10 series, but I'm actually using the 900 series, and it actually works. So, and actually watch that video on Gamers Nexus that the 900 series video cards actually work. So I never did try to use it with RX 480. I just assumed that it didn't work. But anyway, this has 16 gigabytes of DDR4 Trident Z RGB memory in it, and that's at 2933. And did I overclock it? I don't think I did. I think I left it at 2933. And 1800X overclocked to 4 gigahertz. And I've got a EVGA Next 650 watt power supply in there, and that's 80 plus gold. The fans in the front are 140 millimeter, and those are Fantex fans. The exhaust fan here in the back is from Bit Phoenix. That cooler is a Noctua. What is it? It's a Noctua NHU12S, and I had that boxed up forever because it was one of the first coolers from Noctua to actually work with the new Ryzen processors. I got a NVMe drive in there. That's a My Digital SSD BPX480. And I've got a Samsung 950 Pro, and that's 256 gigabytes in there. And the case is a Corsair 600C. And yeah, that's everything in this actual rig. And you know, I've got two FreeSync monitors. I got a FreeSync 2 monitor, and I got a regular FreeSync monitor, so that's great to actually be paired up with this card. And I was actually getting some pretty good frame rates on Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So that's what's in this rig, but everything else is staying with the exception of the 1800X. That's coming out, and the Ryzen 5 3600 is going in there, and then the 1800X is going to go in my son's rig, and it's going to replace the Ryzen 5 1600 that he has in that one. And then that Ryzen 5 1600 is going to go in a build for my daughter. And I've got pretty much all the parts I actually need for that. I won't overclock it or anything. 6 cores, 12 threads would be more than enough to do anything that she needs to do. Because she currently has an Intel Core i7 3770K paired up with an EVGA GTX 760. And the most of the games she plays is The Sims. So, easy day. So let's get on to actually getting this cooler removed and getting the actual 3600 installed. Alright YouTube, I'm about to take the Noctua CPU cooler out. And I'm actually out of Cryonaut thermal paste. And this is the second tube that I bought. And it don't last many applications, so I think I'm going to go back to the Noctua brand of thermal paste because I would use that through several different builds, right? Not to say that the Cryonaut stuff isn't good, because it is, but it just don't last that long. Just small tubes. I'm probably pretty sure that you can get bigger tubes. I have to look into that. Alright. And I like how easy it is to actually install this cooler too. I was actually thinking about getting the one that's one model up from this. But this kept the 1800X. And the max temp I saw was what, 81 one time at 4 gigahertz. So I'm sure this will be more than adequate on the actual 3600 at 4.2. And if not, then I got to buy another cooler. But I'm sure it'll be fine. All right. I may end up buying one anyway. Well, actually, no, I won't, because I've got that other cooler that came with the Ryzen 5 1600. I even got the cooler that came with the Ryzen 5 1600 AF. So, these screws out. There we go. All right. Thermal paste was nicely applied. So I'm not going to show you while I'm cleaning this all up, right? It's just cleaning thermal paste. But you'll see me apply the new thermal paste, and I'm waiting for that to get here from Amazon today and actually get this rig back up and running. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, wait for that other thermal paste to get here, and while it's taking its time to get here, I'll place some actual Ghost Recon breakpoint, because I got to make a video for that, right? So come back for the next part. Should be shorter for you than it is for me. Alright YouTube, I put the thermal paste on there. My Noctua thermal paste ended up showing up today. So what I did, I used some Zalman thermal paste that I had from a previous buy. I can't remember what I actually bought when I needed that Zalman thermal paste. It might have been some fans or something, I can't remember. But all you do is, you got these mounting brackets here that you screw on to the motherboard. After you take off the actual back plate that comes for the original coolers that actually AMD ships, easy day. You just follow instructions and install it. I put a pea-size actual layer or a pea-size drop of thermal paste on there. Should be easy day. I've used that thermal paste from Zalman before. It's actually pretty good. But this is easy enough to take off if I don't like the temperatures that I'm getting. It's easy enough to take off and install the thermal paste from Noctua, which now, according to Amazon, ain't gonna get here until the 13th or the 14th. Easy day though. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed. Right, it just uses the clips on the side. And to go in there. That's an easy day, just clip it on.
like what happened in Freeport? Memories, those routine roundups were a mess.